Likkutei Torah, Parshas Behaalotecha, page Lamed, first column, the middle of Eis Gimel. 2, 4, 10, 12 lines in the end of the first column. Okay, now the Rebbe is discussing the latest thing, the difference between Aaron HaKohen and Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was Momata L'mayla, going from lower to higher, getting people involved in godliness. And Aaron HaKohen is the level of Milmayla Lamata. In other words, Avram Avinu was the first part of David to create V'ahavta, and then Aaron HaKohen reveals levels of godliness above time and place, in time and place. And he says what this is about merirus, the bitterness, not depression, but the bitterness of a person realizing how far anything is from Hashem, and yet the person could become very close to Hashem. So it says, my heart is longing to you. You're the rock of my heart and my part. Hainu, what does he want? She is galus elokus yizbarach elokus la'elam canal. What he basically wants, this level, is godliness should be revealed in the world. Not so much that he becomes closer to Hashem, not that he becomes closer to Hashem, but on the contrary, the elokus, godliness is revealed.
Everybody should want that?
Yeah. That's what we should want. Through the awakening from below. The awakens an awakening from above. That it becomes revealed the spirit from above to be Nigla Kved Hashem. That the glory of Hashem will be revealed. Every flesh will see ayin ba'ayin, eye to eye, in the greatness of Elokus. Meaning, what does that mean? The ultimate goal? Shem Shalamamayla Lamat, just like from Hashem's perspective. Kula Kamei Kalei Choshev, nothing exists. So Kach Mimata Lamayla. So what we want is that when we are from our perspective, we should see, in other words, ultimately the goal of the Jew is, just like from Hashem's perspective, the only thing that exists is Hashem. So it should be from our perspective, the only thing we see and want is only Elokus. And that's the word of Aaron, which is the letters of Nira, of vision, of seeing. The Pasuk says in Chumash, eye to eye. You saw Hashem standing, and your cloud, Matan Torah, your cloud stood above them. Pirush, ayin ba'ayin yiro. Eye to eye, gili elokus, see the revelation of elokus. Kola kamei kol choshev, that nothing exists. And this cloud and darkness that conceals, shoanancha, that it's really your cloud, shemimcha akol. In other words, what the pasuk is saying by Matan Torah is that the person should come to realize that everything is Hashem. There's a cloud that blocks the sunlight, but it's anancha, it's your cloud. Like we're learning a Sharach of Amunah. The concealment of Hashem, which is Elokim, but it's Hashem who Elokim. So even the concealment is Hashem. That means even that blocks the revelation of Elokus is really Hashem himself blocking, because there's nothing else but Hashem. So the only thing that blocks the revelation of Hashem is Hashem. So therefore it's not really a blockage, because you can't cover yourself with yourself. If that's the case, there's absolutely nothing concealing Hashem. Hashem, darkness and light is the same thing. And this level of Ava is called Ava Rabba. He's explained before, Avas Eilam is the level of Avram Avinu, that it comes from meditating into world. You meditate into the great vastness of the universe, and it's only one word, and so on and so forth. Here he's saying that the second level of Ava that comes from above, that's called Ava Rabba, because it's higher than world. It's not Avaselim. What? That's Aaron HaKohen. Momayla Lamata. Which is Lamayla Bechinas Avaselim, which is the level of Mokim and Zman. And this is Kiv Shamam, it's the closeness to Hashem. In the essence of Hashem, and it's called Momayla Lamata V'Amaskal Yovan. The intellect will understand what I'm talking about, he says. This should be the whole desire and the wanting of the person. And this is what the person should be drawn to. It should be a very strong abundance level of love only of Hashem. The only thing he wants is Elokus should be revealed. And therefore, when darkness covers and conceals, Yismar becomes very proud. He has a problem because Elokus is not revealed. In other words, not like us, that our issues are money and food and drink and cars and houses and everything else. That's where we're at. He says, this level is that the Jew only wants Elokus, nothing else. So now he says, now we can understand that why in the Shemoneh Esrei we say the bracha Slach Lanu, forgive us because we sinned, after Krishma, meaning that in Shema we accept the yoke of heaven and mitzvahs, meaning Avila means the fools. They become fools from the ways of sinning, and from their sins they will be tortured, meaning because of their sins. Here he's defining Yisanu also the fast, and that's why he says two things. There's Pesha and there's Oven. He says Shoim is worse. I want to say just 1 second. Pesham is worse than Avnei. There's, even in the text, we say Chatasi, Avisi, Pashaiti, right? There's different words, different levels of sin. We say Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu, Machal lanu malkeinu ki peshanu. In sin, there's 3 types of sins. There's accidental sins. That's what we say ki chatanu. Chet is an accidental sin. Then you have, in Shemoneh Esrei we only say 2. Machal lanu malkeinu ki peshainu. Peshainu is rebellious, intentional sinning. The word pesha comes from the word pshia, negligence. It's not the person just sinned by mistake. Peshainu is worse than oven. There's chet, oven, and pesha. Chet is accidental. Oven is not so intentionally to rebel. And pshia, peshainu, is when a person intends to rebel. So the pasuk over here is talking about avila miderach pesha v'avinisei misanu kipshoyim elam mordim. They rebel against Hashem. Skip the 3 lines of the parentheses. They don't know the way of their sins. Not from the actual sin, which is in other words, like this. The journey of the neshama coming down into the body is what causes them to sin. Obviously. Neshama Gan Eden doesn't sin. When the neshama comes down, journeys down here, that's what causes them to sin. Why do they sin? Because it's prikas or malchus shemayim sheina nira le'eni basa kamei melo basa v'dam. Because you don't see Hashem like you see a physical king. Or in simple language, if you see a policeman in front of your face, you're not going to do anything that's going to get you into trouble. You're not going to rob a bank. You're not going to go through a red light. You're not going to not stop at a stop sign. I mean, you're not going to do these things. That's why Rabbi Zaka in his deathbed told his students, you should at least fear God at least as much as you fear a physical king. And they said, that's it? Shouldn't we fear Hashem more? He said, no, halavai. Because when you see a physical king, you'll never sin. If a person, Shavisa Hashem Lenegdi Summit, if a person always has God in front of him, in his face, internally, he'll never come to sin. In many shuls, they have, by the Amid, they have this big chart, with a whole bunch of, it says Shavisa Hashem Lenegdi Summit with a whole bunch of Kabbalists. In Chabad we don't have that. Our meaning is not to have it. Why? Because it's not supposed to be on the board, it's supposed to be in here. That's because somebody that gave him a lot of money donated it and asked him to put it up. Our meaning is not to do it. Neshama, it's in the body sins. It's in Neshama, Lamailo doesn't sin. The journey down. Why does the Neshama get cleansed in Gehenna? The Gemara in Sanhedrin tells a story that Antoninus, the Roman emperor, was a good friend with Rabbi. He said to him, Rabbi, after 120 years, the Jew has a way out. Exactly what you said. The body will say, I can't sin without the neshama. I'm a dead piece of meat. I can't do anything. The neshama says, me? The body did the Aveda, not me. So Rabbi answered him with the mashal. The mashal? There was a king had an orchard, and it was very luscious fruit, and he couldn't hire a guy because the guy would eat up all the fruit. So he hired two guys, one blind and one crippled. And he thought he'd be safe because the crippled guy couldn't climb the tree and the blind guy couldn't see the fruit. So one day the crippled guy says to the blind guy, we're stupid. I can't walk and you can't see, but if I get on top of your shoulders, I could see, and then we could go to the trees and eat up all the fruit. So that's what they did. So the king calls him in the next day and he says, blind guy, why did you eat the fruit? He said, me, I can't see him. The crippled guy said, me, I can't get it. I can't climb up. So what did he do? He put the blind guy, the crippled guy on top of the blind guy and beat him up together. If the neshama would be in control, it wouldn't sin. The neshama allows the body to sin. So the neshama is guilty as charged. That's why the neshama needs to get cleansed in Gehenna. That's for punishment, whatever. Or tshuva. Chaya Yechida never get dirty. Chaya does a little bit, but not Yechida. Therefore, when you say the Shema, and we accept the yoke of heaven, and he lengthens the word echad, meaning meditation into heaven, 7 heavens and earth and 4 corners of the world. Who want only Elokus, then, if that's what the person wants, he'll become very trembling. And he'll understand there's a concept of sin. What causes, and as a Jew needs to come to the realization, actually feeling it, that a sin blocks godliness. We don't believe it. That's the Rosh Shtus. The foolish spirit is, we still a sin, we're still connected. As he says, the soul needs to understand that what causes godliness to be concealed is our actions. And therefore, he realizes, then he says, Slach lanu. That's what causes him to say, Slach lanu. In other words, in order for a person to realize they sinned, they have to understand how bad sin is. That's why, like we said many, many times, Yom Kippur, you have religious Jews coming to shul and irreligious Jews as of yet coming to shul. Yeah, who has more kavan in the davening? Who is really doing more tshuva on Yom Kippur? The religious Jews are doing more tshuva. The question is, but the other guys sin more. They should be doing more tshuva. The answer is they don't understand what a sin is. Religious people know what a sin, how bad a sin is. So therefore, it causes them more. They need to do more tshuva. Part of the tshuva process, by the way, is to really know that you sinned. Most people will deny sin. That's why we learned there's a carbon called Oshem Vadai. Oshem Vadai means a definite sin, you have to bring a carbon. Then there's Oshem Tolui. Oshem Tolui means if it's a doubtful sin, so you bring a hanging, if it's a sin, it's this carbon, not this carbon. And the din was, Oshem Tolui, the doubtful sin, the animal had to cost more than the definite sin one. So the Mepharshim ask why. It doesn't make sense. If you know for sure you sinned, the carbon should be more expensive. The answer is, because when I know I sinned, I know I did something wrong. When you think you didn't sin, that's even worse. So you get being, maybe I did, maybe 50-50, maybe I sinned, maybe I didn't. So your tshuva is not so real. First thing a person needs to know is, I sinned and it's wrong.
When we tell a Jew that it's not religious yet,
Yeah.
if you sin, it's like an honor. You're blocking Hashem from you. They immediately say, how come the tzaddikim are suffering?
What does that have to do with the price of eggs in China?
They're constantly, they're not sinning, and Hashem should be shining on them all the time.
How many answers to the question do you want?
There's one that
Okay, I'll give you two. One is because every person, no matter who they are, on their level does something wrong. Right? Something wrong. In order for them to have a total clean slate after 120 years, they have to get cleansed for the little bit of, on their level, evil that they did. So that's one reason why they, only God knows, that's one reason why they get punished. Correct? Second answer is, it says, Chassidus brings down that Arizal, who was very holy obviously, didn't chatanu and vashamnu bagadnu gazalnus. He didn't do all that. Why did the Arizal say Hashamnu twice a day? Because he was a neshama klali. All neshamas are interconnected. And a tzaddik feels the pain of everybody. Which means as follows. When you hurt your foot, why does the head hurt? The head didn't get hurt, the foot got hurt. So why is the pain in the head, not in the foot? Oh, so all Jewish people are connected, especially the tzaddikim is the head, Rosh B'nai Yisrael, right? They are the nerve center of the head. So they're guilty. Vasimim b'roshechem, the pasuk says in Vayikra. Vasimim b'roshechem, it's the heads are guilty for everybody else's sins. That's two answers. The question that you asked is really David HaMelech's question. Madua derech l'shem tzleicha, and why are the wicked prosperous and tzaddikim suffer? Yeah, but that's the answer to the question.
But they don't suffer.
He was a Nasi, right?
Who, David HaMelech?
No, Arizal.
Arizal was the Nasi, yeah.
Wasn't Yosef Torah?
He was a Shulchan Aruch. There was a shul with 4 people. The Arizal, the Beis Yosef, the Al-Sheikh, and the guy that wrote Likkutei, the Shlomo Alkowitz. And one was the Rav, one was the Maggid, and it said, whenever the Arizal got up to talk, the Beis Yosef automatically fell asleep. His neshama had no shaykh to Kabbalah. This is what's brought down in Svarim, that when Arizal used to talk, the Beis Yosef, not that he went to sleep at chutzpah, like everybody else. His neshama had no shaykhs to it.
And his neshama wanted to hear it up in Shemayim.
Could be.
You used to study Achi Hashiloni.
Who? Baal Shem Tov studied with Achi Hashiloni.
But in the shul,
The Beis Yosef The Yosef Karo had a malach, the Magid Mishon that learned with him. The Beis Yosef learned with a malach.
In the shul and spots, there's a little corner that say, I used to study.
I'm not saying no, yeah. There's Arizal, this Fardik and Ashkenazik and whatever.
When did it start?
No. Ashkenazim started from God. God is a white male Ashkenazi. You mean when did Sfardim start? From Avraham Avinu, I guess. He was a Sfardi.
Then there's Moshe Rabbeinu, it's not Moshe Rabbeinu.
Okay, let's not get into that again. Okay, see.
There's no camel in Europe.
Huh?
There's no camel in Europe.
No, so?
So, Rivka wanted what? Camels.
No.
What does it say?
There's camels in the LA Zoo. Okay, so he says, Achloi dai b'merida zum is beininus. So he says, in a positive way, Krishma should cause a meridus, meaning the person comes to realization how great Hashem is, and therefore how low we are, and that it's supposed to be bothering me. Why? The only thing that's supposed to be bothering me is nothing else. That means no money, like we said, no clothing, no money, no food, no cars, no house, nothing. The only thing that should bother the Jew is the lack of Elokus revealed in the world. And therefore, the fact that the person's not on a level, it really bothers him. So he said, it's not in us, that meridus of davening, Raksha Torah Lekveya Itim. You have to designate time, like the Alter Rebbe says in Gersa Tshuva, Lochein Tiknu Eis Kavor B'Tikn Chatzos. By the way, the Rebbe says that's not existing today. Today's only Simcha. Lochein Tiknu Eis Kavor B'Tikn Chatzos. Therefore, they establish a time at midnight Chatzos over there, Lekveya Meriruzu B'Nafshim. How? By thinking about the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, meaning Elokus is not revealed in the world, and that's what causes the person to be bitter. Because once a person feels bothered, sincerely, seriously bothered, by the lack of Elokus in the world, that itself causes the revelation of Hashem. Because now he broke the barrier of the cloud that covers. Now he's openly connected. It's the concept of tshuva. In a second, you do tshuva. So then you realize what's the reality of life. Opposite of avila medarach peshum, which is foolishness. Okay, so now he says like this. Okay, skip the two lines in the parentheses. What causes the reward of the mitzvah is a mitzvah ba'atzma, is the mitzvah itself. Meaning, shateir of our mitzvahs eminam shachas gil elokusi yisbarach l'mata. And here's a very unique interpretation of the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos when it says, you should mitzvah gereres mitzvah, right? Schar mitzvah, the reward of the mitzvah is a mitzvah. So in Pirkei Avos, when you learn the Mefarshim in the Mishnah, it says, what's the reward of a mitzvah? Because mitzvah gereres mitzvah, because one mitzvah drags another mitzvah, the reward of a mitzvah is you're going to do another mitzvah, you're going to get a lot of rewards starting from one mitzvah. In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, the definition of schar mitzvah means the reward of the mitzvah is not Gan Eden. The reward of the mitzvah is the mitzvah. Mitzvah is safsa v'chibah, binding and connection. Like the Mishnah says, also in Pirkei Avos, 1 second of tshuva ma'asim tevim in this world is better than the whole olam haba, because olam haba is only a ray of the Shekhinah. And you do a mitzvah in this world, schar mitzvah, the reward of the mitzvah, is the connection that you have with Hashem, to the essence of Hashem. You don't need it, that's even greater than Gan Eden.
You don't feel that. In Gan Eden, you're
First of all, speak for yourself that you don't feel it. Everybody else here feels it.
I mean,
First of all, yes.
Nothing tangible.
Yes. The answer is, number one, the neshama feels it. What we're doing, what we're accomplishing, to use modern day language, is going in a trust fund. It's not accessible until Mashiach, but the account is growing. When Mashiach comes, we're going to see the revelation of godliness that all our mitzvahs accomplished. Now we don't see it because there's too much darkness in the world. It's not accessible yet. But like we learned Shabbos morning, in godliness, the essence of Hashem is equal in the most holy thing or in the least holy thing. It's just the revelation of godliness. But godliness is the same. Einay Mugadi means the same godliness in a piece of pig, than there is in Kedusha. It's just the difference in the revelation of godliness. In a pig, godliness is completely blocked and covered and concealed. But nevertheless, if you take a light and you put 50 blankets over it, the only thing you're blocking, the lighted bulb itself doesn't change. You're just changing how much the light bulb is seeable, revealed. So you have 50 covers, you don't see it any. But the light bulb, it doesn't matter to the bulb itself if one cover, 10 covers, 100 covers, or no covers. The bulb doesn't change. Elokus is the same. The question is, in Kedusha it's revealed, and in evil it's covered. That's all it is. So now we accomplish the feat. We accomplish it. We don't see it because we're in a dark world and we're in a body and the Shabbamis and everything. Mashiach will come, everything we did will be revealed. So in other words, like the story with Cheni Amagal, or they call in the English world Rip Van Winkle, when he slept for 70 years, there's an introduction to the story in the Gemara. It's a story in the Gemara. The guy slept for 70 years. Cheni Amagal saw a Yid planting a carob tree, a boxer tree. The Gemara says it takes 70 years for a boxer tree to produce fruit. Yeah? So he asked this old guy planting a boxer tree. He says to him, why are you planting this tree? You ain't going to be around in 70 years. He said, you see this carob tree here? You know why that's there? Because my parents and grandparents planted it for me. I'm planting it for the next generation. And then Cheni Amagal fell asleep and woke up 70 years later, the Gemara says in Tainus. And then he saw the tree with somebody, and this was a kid of that guy that planted the tree. What?
You don't get lucky to sleep.
What?
You don't get lucky to sleep that long.
You want to be Rip Van Winkle? We can arrange it.